As far as debt and capital budgets go, the capital budget authorized $26.1 million, which again is offset slightly by Chapter 12A from the state. But it goes to a significant number of infrastructure issues. And Bruce knows all about Transportation Trust Fund, I guess. We are obviously focusing on ensuring that we have a proper infrastructure for roads and bridges. We've allocated $7.6 million for 22 miles of county road resurfacing. And you can see it is right in line with what we've been doing for the past couple of years, in fact, more than 2014 and 2013. $3.3 million for the design of 16 bridges and construction of 6 bridges. Again, we are right in line with last year and within the realm of what we've done over the past 5 years. $3.7 million for educational facilities and $1 million for criminal justice reform. That is the bail reform that we're coming under, and I think we just had our first weekend of this, and it went, I think, without event. But as we go through that process, we'll have to analyze the staffing and the security and the levels at which we, normalize this so we can absorb that in the coming year's budget. Historically, again, we are right in line with what we have done for the past 4 or 5 years. Okay? So one of the key things that we wanted to make sure that we achieved is a structural balance in our financial strength. It is imperative that we keep our AAA bond rating. We employ a conservative budgeting practice where we make sure that we never have to go back for more and we plan for the future. We have constant oversight. We meet every other week, it seems, on an ongoing basis to analyze different areas of our budget. And advanced planning and preparation for future reductions in managed Medicaid revenues. Again, this really is a significant area of change, and not in the positive. It is the prudent and methodical use of fund balance obviously maintains our stability. It maintains our AAA bond rating. We worked very tightly with our auditor this year to ensure that we did not create a scenario that would have our fund balance begin to plummet, and we were able to do this. So we end up this year right in the middle of where we did last year at around $53 million. So that we have in fact gotten our AAA bond rating again this summer. So as we look forward to the future, I really do think we have to think about our county and its viability in a strategic capacity. And that means taking into consideration, again, the ongoing tumult in the Medicaid funding and Moore's View, and the impact and stress it's putting on the other areas of our human services. And how do we normalize that to keep the quality of care and our residents where we know it ought to be? Potential increases in health insurance and pension costs. I don't have to tell you about that. It's just going up and up. But I have to say, I've been very impressed with the way they've managed it. The impact of criminal justice reform and speedy trial. We are a pilot county for bail reform, so we are taking great pains to begin to monitor that as it goes forward and figure out the downstream effect of speedy trial, which there will be. So this is coming on board. And the county guarantee for debt service for Solar 1 and Solar 2 programs. Obviously, this is, we're completing the 10 remaining sites in Solar 2, and I think we are coming out actually ahead where we thought we would be, which is terrific. And then one of the things that we need to start taking a much more strategic look at is the changing economic landscape and the demographic landscape of the county. And that is something I think that previous freeholder boards did not have to do, but I think meaning in a strategic way. You know, when you talk to the freeholders in the 1990s, 2000, we had a different economic environment. And I think that the Freeholder Board is going to look at this more strategically to make sure, again, that we provide the services without having to increase the tax burden. Okay, so in summary, the aggregate 2012 to 2016 combined tax effort represents only 0.5% increase over 4 years, while the 2016 operating effort will increase 3.43%. The reduction of the open space tax has resulted in an overall 2.39% tax increase. This was accomplished through the $1 billion increase in county ratables, coupled with the 1/8 of a cent reduction in open space tax. The average household change is approximately $20 based on the average residential value. It protects our AAA bond rating, and it allows us to permit the final 10 sites in the Solar 2 project to be completed. So those were the type of objectives and plans that we had in place this year.
Kristen, Hank, just a quick question. My father-in-law spent 3 years there, and they were as good as they can be when you're, 96 years old and 97. My question to you is, if you privatize it, how are the people who are thinking of being the providers going to fund and make any money or whatever it happens to be from there?
Yeah, so the thought and what we're learning is obviously it is a system of, a provider wouldn't be a single provider. They would have other healthcare facilities, so this would be a number of them. So they could get
Economy of scale.
Economy of scale.
Sure.
Also, honestly, they don't have some of the pension and overheads that we do in the way that we do at the county.
Thank you.
I mean, I believe at the county within Morrisview, our fringe cost is about 65% of total salary, whereas in the nursing home market in general, it's about 25%. I mean, that's anything from, we get 14 holidays per year, and that's a 24/7 facility, which means that's overtime the entire day, not just the work day. To obviously, private companies in all likelihood aren't going to have 14 holidays. I mean, I don't even think the state has that many. To lower pension costs, things of that nature. There's also, in previous freeholder boards, including one time when I was on the freeholder board with housekeeping, but also nutrition and laundry and things of that nature, those types of services have already been outsourced, and what we've been told is that a private operator would come in, they would reabsorb those. That is one of the, and they would effectively use the profit that those companies are making and absorb it in to help their bottom line. I think Christine also hit on just the economies of scale, owning multiple different nursing homes. They are going to just be able to bid better. So I think it's a variety of things of that nature. But I think to your point, you're absolutely right. There is that concern of, does a private operator come in and cut so much that that quality of care declines? And I think that was, just like Christine said, the question is, if we were to have a lease, what type of safeguards are in place? That was what I would generally say the sentiment of the families at our special meeting at Morrisview were. They recognized, I think, why we are discussing these changes. You just look at the numbers and it's daunting, but it's that we have to ensure that that quality of care doesn't decline. We have to protect it as much as humanly possible.
Thank you.
Question for either one of you.
Definitely Christine.
Right, Christine.
We're so close. We've gotten to know each other. We're right out of the
The reduction in the open space tax, approximately about 1% overall. It's reducing the overall increase from 343 to 239. What does that? What was collected in open space taxes, and what will it be reduced to?
I don't have the answer to that question off the top of my head.
Let's see, let me think for a moment. So, let's see, let me flip to the page.
I mean, if I'm correct, it should be almost about 1%.
No, so I think
tax base.
because, yeah, that's what I want to look at. What page does that have that on? It's at the very end.
Yeah.
Because the difference, that 1% is also taking into account the rateable increase. We had a number of new ratables come on. For instance, St. Clair's, that was a huge ratable that, because it was previously a nonprofit hospital, didn't pay property taxes. Now they've sold to a private company, a for-profit company, so it does. So obviously we get that revenue and you can spread it around. So The difference there, that 1% difference is not exclusively open
Okay.
space.
No,
Yeah.
not by any means, but I think the best thing to do is I'll ask Dina for this
Okay.
specific
I think
amount
that
and
is
get
good.
it to you.
I think it's around $1 million in total, which would be about 0.5%. So I would say that of that, approximately 1% you're pointing out to, about 0.5% of it is open space and 0.5%
Okay.
roughly, but I do think we should get.
Yeah.
If you could.
Yeah.
And then my follow-up question would be, kind of in line with what you were talking about. So you had the increased ratables, obviously, that offset a lot of what what you had to raise in terms of percentage.
Yes.
What was the taxes raised, total county taxes raised in last year, and what will be the total taxes raised this year? So the difference obviously being the increase in obviously what we need to run the county. Do you know what that number is?
In absolute values?
In absolute values?
I don't know in absolute.
Okay, if you could get back to
Yeah.
that, that'd be great. Any other questions from the days?
Yes, just, first of all, thank you for coming out and bringing the presentation to us. I really appreciate you coming out. Back to Morrisview for just a moment. I'm interested in knowing what budgeting assumption you used in terms of going forward with Morrisview, whether it be privatized, or did you assume a do-nothing scenario, or
For
did you
this
assume,
budget?
because Hank, you referenced a loss, and I don't know whether you incorporated that loss in
Yes.
a conservative position.
Yes, so we knew it was gonna be this year, we know what it's gonna be next year. So that's all planned for here in this budget,
Okay.
incorporated here. What the urgency is that it begins to hockey stick.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, good luck. I'm sorry I had to miss that meeting because
Yeah,
it's really
I would be glad to get you the information. I really think
Okay.
it's imperative for us to address this holistically.
Yes, I think that the Morrisview right now is the single biggest issue, I would say, for the county freeholders at the moment.
Right,
Okay.
and one of the things, just so you know, is the concept of what we can do with the monies that we save from Morrisview. What are the other health and human services areas we need to shore up that are also at risk because of these changes in Medicaid?
Mr. Quinn, I think you had a question?
Thank you. Just going back to the building of the County Communications Center. We were one of the first large municipalities to join back in 2011, and some other ones kind of, one of the carrot sticks out there was that once you had enough municipalities on board, that the county was going to absorb the full cost of that and not charge the municipalities. Has that been considered any further? And you have 23 municipalities now. They're moving forward on, what was stated back when County Communications was originally built, and you were trying to entice, a lot of the municipalities from Morris County to come on board.
Okay. So I know that I got that question when I came here 2 years ago.
I probably asked it.
So in my time as a freeholder, we have not had any new municipality join. Some have joined on a couple, on a particular subset, but we haven't brought on any new municipality just in their entirety. So I would say that depending on the freeholders, we may all have slightly different positions, but it's a difficult spot because we have 23 municipalities, but as you said, it tends to be the larger municipalities that haven't signed on. So we're very close to 50% of the population. And so it's difficult, do you absorb that into the tax base when it's only serving at the moment 50% of the residents? I think each freeholder would come to a different decision. Now, obviously, we have not done that yet, so it seems that the majority of us, at least at the moment, haven't thought that that was the way to go. Just for myself personally, I don't think I would feel comfortable in doing that until it was a higher percentage. So we continue to offer it to municipalities. I do know we have spoken to a number of municipalities, for instance, Rockaway Township during my time. I'd say every 6 months or so, we end up talking to another municipalities. We would welcome it. But at least myself personally, I know it's not the answer that you'd like to hear, but myself personally, I wouldn't be able to go down that route until it was substantially more, 80%, something like that.
Do you think any of these municipalities that haven't come on board would come on board if there wasn't any cost?
Yes, I think, oh, absolutely. I think, for instance, actually, my town, Montville, we are, my governing body has not decided to move forward. If you were to absorb it into the tax base, you would effectively be paying for it twice. And so I absolutely agree with you. I think that everybody at that point would come
I mean,
up.
I mean, I'm very happy with the service. I mean, you guys are very professional and do a terrific job.
You're right, we have not discussed that as a group.
We discussed it, it must have been right before you came on, because it wasn't that long ago.
Just being involved in a number of years ago when we made
Right,
the decision
right,
to
right.
go up to the
Agree.
county and.
Obviously, I wasn't there, so I can't give you any insight
No, it was
information
a
on
totally
that.
different board at that point trying to.
But I do believe, I think one thing that has surprised, I think there was the belief that when it was built, that we would get a lot more towns. I think that there's been a surprise by the lack of appetite for it.
Yeah.
I'd like a question with regard to the Transportation Trust Fund and what the county's doing in terms of continuing these road projects and all of that. I know I drive on Sussex Avenue every day, so I know you're continuing those projects that have been started already, but I was just curious to know, has there been any discussion on your level about freezing the potential contracts coming up, or
Yes.
putting a freeze on it until Trenton figures out how to fund the
Yes.
Transportation Trust Fund? That's what's going to happen. Okay, so
Right.
we're going to continue with the ones that we have now.
Right, that are in process and freeze the rest. And I'm actually having a meeting with Dina on Friday, so if I get further detail from her about where we are in any given project, I will let you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions from the dais? I want to thank you both for coming this evening. I
Thank
think
you.
we let you off pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about solar.
Yep. There you go.
We
It's
appreciate
summer.
it.
Yeah, you appreciate the fact that we didn't talk about solar, I know.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you
And we
very,
will
thank
get
you
back
both
to
very
you
much.
with
Thank
the
you.
answers.
If you could, thank you very
Yep,
much.
absolutely.
Thanks, Chris, thanks.